Hello and welcome again to our uh, data analytics series. And today I want to introduce the data analytics program, and we talk about the expectation of this program, which is actually a 4-week intensive data analytics program. So over this 4 weeks period, I wanted to start by clarifying the type of analytics that we can have using the diagram that you're seeing on my screen here. So in our EDA classes, we talked about the exploratory data analysis. So here I wanted us to differentiate the 4 types of analytics that we have. So to start with, we have the descriptive analytics, which mainly focuses on getting the current facts about the data that we have. So descriptive analytics is mainly more or less the same as the exploratory data analysis, because its main the objective of descriptive analytics is to get the insight. What are we getting currently from your data? Okay. Now from the descriptive analytics, we also have the diagnostic analytics, which mainly focuses on the question why. So it mainly answers the question, why is our data in this format? So this is what we normally call the insight. So in other words, diagnostic analytics generates the current facts and figures that we have within our data set. And mainly this is what we'll be doing in our data analytics program by using some tools like Microsoft Power BI. We also have analytics in our database system using SQL. And also we have analytics in our Excel sheets. So mainly diagnostic analytics tries to answer the question, why? Now from there, we also have the predictive analytics, also called the foresight. So it's mainly trying to answer the question, it's actually trying to give us the insight that might happen in the future. So it's kind of predicting what we've not seen. The uncertainty is being actually generated here. And this is what we'll be doing in our data science program by utilizing machine learning. Now from predictive analytics, we also have the prescriptive analytics. So this is actually the context, in such a way that after getting the diagnostic analytics or the predictive analytics, now what should we do? What is the context? What should we do now to achieve the analysis that we have actually generated from the data? So the question that is being answered here is, what can we do now? What is the prescriptive actions that can be done with the data that we have? And then finally, now we have the cognitive analytics, which is actually a kind of analytics that is mainly achieved using artificial intelligence in such a way that we are trying to do some kind of inference from the data that we've actually analyzed. So these are the main types of analytics that we have. So I just wanted to clarify that in our data analytics program, we are going to do the diagnostic analytics, while on the data science program, we will be focusing on predictive analytics. Then both of these two, now we can perform some actions that we call the prescriptive analytics. Now from there, in our data analytics program that we have actually said it will cover 4 weeks, on week 1, we'll actually start by understanding the foundations of data analytics and also start with the Excel for data analytics. So in our first module, week 1, we are going to introduce data analytics, and we're going to understand the role of data analytics in decision making. We're also going to actually explore different types of data. Mainly, we'll subdivide them into the structured data and unstructured data. where the structured data are data that has been organized in a certain format, and in most cases, the data that is organized in tables. While unstructured data, they don't have a predefined format. Therefore, mainly they are actually the text data. Now from there, we'll actually have an overview of the tools that we can use for our data analytics process, where we'll be exploring the Microsoft Power BI. We'll be exploring SQL, and we'll be exploring the Excel tools that are actually the main tools that are used by data analysts in generating the current facts and figures. So now to start us off with the tool, we are actually going to start by actually exploring data analytics with Excel. Okay, in such a way that we'll talk about how do you clean and prepare data in Excel. For example, how do you use Power Query for data transformation? We're going to do the descriptive statistics in Excel. We talk about the mean, the mode, the median, the standard deviation, the variance. Now from there, we are going to explore Excel functions that are very useful in data analytics. So these are functions that we call the lookup functions. For example, the VLOOKUP, the HLOOKUP, the XLOOKUP. We're going to form conditional functions like the if, the sum if, the count if, and we're also going to talk about the logical and the textual function in Excel. Still on week one, we'll actually conclude by actually exploring data visualization in Excel, such a way that we are going to create dashboards using pivot charts and the slicers. And also we are going to use the conditional formatting to generate insight from an Excel data. That will be our week one, where our main focus will be data analytics using Excel. Now to week two, we'll actually explore the SQL for data analytics in such a way that we'll introduce SQL and the databases by actually trying to understand the relational databases. We're also going to differentiate between the SQL database and the NoSQL databases like the MongoDB and the Cassandra. And also now we are going to introduce the major relational database management systems like the PostgreSQL, MySQL, Microsoft SQL Server, are some of the major relational database management systems that we can use to interact with information that is stored within a database. So in the next module now, we'll start by exploring SQL querying fundamentals in such a way that we're going to see how to retrieve information within a database. Normally, that is what we call an SQL query. We're trying to retrieve information within a database. So we'll be talking about data retrieval using select. And we can also add some more filtering options using the where, order by, the limit. We can also group information using the distinct, group by, and having in such a way that we can perform data aggregation. Now from there, we're also going to talk about the joins. How do you join tables and relationship? So you're going to understand what do you mean by the inner join, left join, the right join, full join. And this is actually very important for us to understand what are primary keys and what are foreign keys within a table. Now the third module, we'll actually talk about data manipulation in SQL. How do you insert? How do you update? How do you delete information from an SQL table? And then you're going to talk about in more details, how do you create some views or sub-queries for more complex analysis in SQL? Now in our third module still on SQL for data analytics, we'll actually explore the advanced SQL for analytics in such a way that we're going to explore some of the analytical functions such a way that we'll be using the window function like the rank, the dense rank, the row number, the lag, the lead. Okay. Then from there, we're going to explore how do you enhance performance by actually indexing, how do you perform query optimization, and how do you create some stored procedures within SQL. Now from here, we are going to do some hands-on projects in such a way that we'll be writing some SQL queries to analyze customer transactions, sales performance, and also employee productivity. So that is actually in our week 2, in such a way that we'll be mainly focusing on SQL for data analytics. Now, finally, very importantly, which is actually my favorite, is we are going to talk about data visualization and reporting using the Microsoft Power BI. So we'll start by introducing you to Power BI. So we first need to understand the business intelligence and data visualization. We'll actually explore the Power BI interface. So something like the Power Query, the data model, report view. Then from there, still on Power BI, we are going to show you how to connect Power BI to different data sources. For example, how do you connect Power BI to an Excel document? Or how do you connect Power BI to an SQL database? Or how do you connect Power BI using some web APIs? So that is a very important module, so that now we are able to fetch information into Microsoft Power BI. Now in the second module still on Power BI, we are going to talk about data transformation and modeling in Power BI. So now I'm assuming that you've actually connected to a data source, and now you want to start doing your data pre-processing. So we'll be talking about how do you use Power Query for data cleaning. So for example, how do you handle duplicates? How do you remove the missing unnecessary data? And how do you perform column transformation? Then in the second module, we'll actually talk about how to create data relationships in Power BI. So we're going to talk about several relationships that we have. For example, we have the one-to-many, many-to-many, many-to-one, and so on relationships. And we'll talk about the building. How do you build the star and the snowflake schemas in Power BI? Then finally, still on Power BI now, we'll talk about in details, how do you build interactive dashboards? So we'll start by exploring several data visualization techniques like the bar chart, the line charts, the pie charts, the heat maps. We'll be talking about what are KPIs and what are the maps. So in this context, we'll actually differentiate where to use a bar chart, or where to use a heat map, or where to use a pie chart. Okay. Now from there, we're also going to understand the DAX. Is actually the data analysis expressions that are written in Microsoft Power BI. So this is actually help us create calculated columns and measures. So some of the common DAX functions include the SUMX, the COUNTX, calculate, the filter, DAX function. And then finally, now we talk about Power BI deployment. Essentially, that how do you publish reports into the Power BI service? And then finally, talk about how do you set up automatic refresh and share your Power BI reports to several stakeholders. Now from here, in our week 4, which is actually where we are going to do several capstone projects and real-world applications in data analytics. So the objective is the first capstone project that we are going to do is the sales performance dashboard in Power BI, okay? Which the main objective of this capstone project is to enable our students to develop an interactive Power BI dashboard for sales performance analysis in such a way that you can now help business managers track their revenues, their profits, and their customer trends. Okay. So that is will be a whole very interactive project that I feel we can actually use it in our portfolios. Now from there, we are also going to talk about our custom project 2, which is actually customer segmentation with SQL, which is actually that our main objective here is to enable you to perform customer segmentation using SQL queries. Such a way that we want to identify the different types of customers based on their purchasing behavior. Okay. Then now finally, our third custom project will be actually the financial data analysis with Microsoft Excel. So the main objective for this custom project is to enable you to analyze financial statements, like we can generate the profit, the loss. We can actually build a balance sheet using the advanced Excel functions and pivot table. So mainly that is our main objective, and these are actually the key takeaways for our data analytics course. The first thing we are going to ensure is that you are able to master Excel, and you can use it for cleaning data, when you can interact with the pivot table, you can automate some functions within Excel, and you can also use Microsoft Excel for financial data modeling. Still in this program, we want to ensure that you have some SQL expertise in such a way that you can query information from databases, you can aggregate data, and you can perform analytics on the data that has been stored in an relational database. And then also very importantly is that with this program here, you'll actually gain the Power BI proficiency in such a way that you are able to create interactive dashboard. You can perform visual storytelling and data modeling. And then finally, very important key takeaway for this course is that the capstone projects that we are going to build are actually real world, so that you can use them to showcase in your portfolio and also in your job application. So with that one, this is our course outline. So I wish to meet you in our next class, where we are going to start by talking about the foundations of data analytics, and we start by Excel for data analysis. So with that one, let's meet in the next class. In the next lesson, bye-bye.